Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Seller Sessions here, Isabella Hamilton, Rank Bell, and NF Tomic CEO. And I have the pleasure and honor this morning. We have the most beautiful human I have met in a long time, Miss Janice Buu. Good morning.
Hi, Bella. Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you this morning. I haven't seen you in like forever.
I know it's since your last event, you had an amazing beauty event.
Yes,
Let's start
thank
with
you for
that.
coming.
Of course, tell people a little bit about that event, and then we'll kind of work it backwards and go
Yeah, yeah.
who you are.
Okay.
You're
So,
amazing. I love it.
thank you, thank you. So, I recently hosted a sustainable beauty and wellness event in Malibu, on this gorgeous rooftop lounge right across from Nobu, and I'm so grateful for the venue and the owner for, renting us the space and everything. So, I gathered actually around 13 to 14 brands. They're indie brands, independent owners, self-funded, mostly women, actually all women,
That's
woman owned. Yeah. And I wanted to create a space around sustainability, social impact, and climate change. And everyone who built the brand, it's around that. Like how they create the products, it's all created with intentions of sustainability in mind and how to be, saving the planet. And it's amazing. And they're all from different industries. Like we have tea, and then obviously the skincare from me, and there are other skincare and soaps and bar soaps and bar shampoos. There's so many amazing brands and chocolate, and so it was really nice to see everyone coming together and these women just like really working on their passion projects. But they can come here. It's almost like a presentation, like in school, kids are working on art project and they come and show. But in this world, it's in reality, and this is your business. They all come together and they talk about it, they share, and they get feedback. I think it's such an amazing thing. Otherwise, I don't know where they would have this type of platform to meet like-minded women.
how were you able to bring in so many talented people in one place?
I think I usually surround myself with talented women like yourself. And so I've been very fortunate to meet these amazing women, and it doesn't matter what stages they are in life or businesses, like we're all really good friends. And so when I hosted this event, it was actually only supposed to be for Kana Beauty, my brand. And then I was like, this is an amazing space. I'm gonna bring some of my friends in here. And then so I invited one and two, and the other ones knew about it. I was like, you know what? Let me just invite all the ones that I really like. And then there was literally until the space was like all filled with the table spacing and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, I think this is enough. And then, whoops, sorry. And then we got invited back to do another one. So I have another one coming up on June 11th. And so all the people that couldn't make it were like, okay, great, we're gonna be at your next one, right? So so yeah, I'm really, really glad because the audience, like the event goers, are also mostly women, but we don't discriminate, but they're mostly women who are also into, veganism and sustainability. And there was this one woman that was super cute. She came up to me and she was, look, all my clothes, they're all from the thrift store. And then at first I was like, I'm confused, like why is she telling me this? Because I wasn't, exhibiting any fashion related. And then later the staffs were saying, oh, she was telling you because it's like a sustainable event and she wanted to support. And so from head to toe, she wore something that was like, from the thrift
And
store.
this is at
And
a
I thought that was so cute.
Malibu oceanfront.
Yeah.
So that,
Yes.
that's very commendable.
Yes.
And you know what? I want to point something out that I like to point out things during my talks that people might have missed. And I think it's super crucial to just point out the fact that you could have done this event yourself. This was
Yeah.
by for everybody who attended. But yeah, in that moment, you're like, you know what? I could shine through my line of skincare. Canna Beauty, by the way, beautiful. But you're like,
Thank you.
you know what? Let me bring some other women that could also get
Benefit.
some benefit from this. And I think that's
Yeah.
important, especially as we move into this new times with this new technology and especially NFT and Web3 space. I see more and more of this where people come together and they're not all about let me do this for me, but more of like
Mm.
do this for me, but yet I can also bringing other people up the same time with me. And I think that's so beautiful. And I think that's what makes you one special human.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's true. Like, I think it would have been a lot easier and much cheaper if I just did it on my own. But it's a different environment, it's a different vibe, and I really wish that somebody could. And I believe that if they were really interested in event planning, they would have done it and included me as well. I hope so. I think it's kind of like a like a networking environment, but also, this is how our friendship's gonna grow too.
Yeah, this is a very good
Yeah.
point because most of our listeners here, as you probably know by now, they're all Amazon sellers. And I think, it would be good if you could give us some pointers for somebody like yourself that sells D2C and you're just
Hmm.
so into creating a community. And this is what a lot of brands are lacking on Amazon, this effect of what a community can do. And tell us, how did this help you grow your brand? And then tell us a little bit about your brand.
Yeah, okay. So I'll start with the D2C part. If we think about it, how we really started selling before this whole like e-com boom and everything, it was through communities and in-person events, or like, you sell to your neighborhood and your community. And then everyone jumped on e-com when this thing kind of like launched, right? And everyone started talking about how do you advertise, how do you pay to click or whatever, like all these things and ads. But now there's so much of that, and consumers are actually getting ads all the time, like Facebook, Amazon, even like random web browsers that you go to. So the information is overloaded, that I think in the world in general, we now crave, going back to the in-person connections. It's different, and experiential events, because that's something that leaves with you emotionally. You're impacted, and then you learn something, and then the friendships that you create. I'm all about like connecting people and broadening your network and meet new friends and create something together. So I think people leave with that, and then they can, and this friendship that you created can blossom into whatever it is, like it could be business, it could be whatever. So I always value in person meetups and events. It doesn't matter how big or small. I actually prefer smaller events because there's like, more time to connect, and you get deeper into the conversations, and more meaningful, rather than like if you have like a few hundred people. And I think our event was like about 200 people. And but even though I still brought people, I mean, you were there, so I still brought people, and then I knew that certain people would click and they can go on each other's like, podcasts, or like jump on each other's passion projects and stuff. But if it was smaller, I think it would have been even better. So that's that. And then I think it's a really great way for brands to come in front of the audience and then show your product. And not just, it's not about selling the product, right? Like there's a purpose behind why you're selling that product, I hope. So you talk about it with your audience, and sometimes in your mind the target market is, oh, like I want a woman to be like 30 to 35 and I want her to do this, and that's what's in your mind. But in reality, you can find, this is your target market. Maybe you're finding these other people and you're like, oh my God, like this is actually my target market. And how do I maneuver and kind of like cater and brand to them? So it's that's how I feel. Like I think in person you get a reality check of your brand and your products and also yourself.
Do you
But
think
like online,
do you think most people don't do it because they don't trust their product enough? Or why do you think a lot of people, especially those brands who sell on Amazon, don't do IRL events like this? What do you think the number one thing stopping them is?
I think it really depends. I think one is, I'm not saying the viewers now, but I do think the Amazon sellers, from what I see, they kind of just grab a product and think monetary, like how can I turn it into money? How much profit can I get? And then if this brand or this product doesn't really do well, they dump it and then they switch. I think it's fast cash, but when you're growing a brand, though, it has to have brand personality, your audience, your target market. Like it's your community that you grow together, and then you go through ups and downs together. It's not like, oh, this isn't performing, let me dump it, let me just try another one. That's a very short term, and you're only looking at the monetary values.
That's a great answer. And I think, a lot of Amazon sellers actually, Janice, they do start with this passion. I mean, I know a lot of them myself personally, and a lot of them, they do start in their own garage, working
Yeah.
product and shipping the items themselves. And, some of them are just for fast cash. But what I'm noticing lately is a lot more people are actually trying to create a real brand. And it's like now they got to this point and they don't really know where to go to next.
Mm,
Everybody in the community is teaching a certain way of selling products on
right.
Amazon. And it is the legit way. You have to
Yeah.
do the work, you have to put your product, but nobody's really out there advocating for how can you really create a brand that actually brings back that passion that you used to have when you started
Mm,
in your garage. And they don't know how to really escape that they've been doing all the time. So I think showing what you've done, it's really incredible, because again, it's you have a skincare, but yet you are not afraid to bring in other skincare brands
yeah.
with you in the same place. Clear that, oh my God, if they buy from her, they're not going to buy from me. And I think this is still yet quite major in the Amazon community, where
Yeah.
most people don't want to share what their product is. They
Mm,
can't even get to thinking that they can actually collaborate with another brand that's similar to
yeah.
theirs. Where is what I'm noticing again more and more is that the power is in the numbers. If you all are able to bring each other up, you're not really taking sales from you to help your friend. And
Yeah.
I thought that not most people are used to, but it seems like
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, like for me, I really think I obviously for me, I think creating a brand is not just skincare, is you want to create a better lifestyle for your audience in general. So I'm obviously not going to create a jewelry brand that's sustainable because that's not my field, and I'm not really interested in jewelry as you can see. And so how do I create a better lifestyle or, fashionable but still sustainable for my audience? Besides skincare. So then that's why I was willing to bring in everything. It's almost like a lifestyle event, right? And then I want them to better their lives. So like you said, the skincare, yeah, there were like 3 other skincare brands there with me. But I honestly like everyone's skin types, different preferences and everything. So maybe I introduced this customer to my friend this time and it worked out great. Next time she'll maybe want to try mine. Or she tries mine this time, I'll be like, oh, okay, try my face oil, but then try her moisturizer or something like that. We're not just gonna use one item or stick to one brand. So I really don't mind
Yeah,
that.
there's a lot going around. I mean, the pie is so big. I always say
Yeah.
this. And I don't think people really understand the true meaning of that. It's like a catchphrase, everybody says it, but they
Yeah.
don't really apply it into their life. And it's like
Yes.
you start digging deep down into like the way you start thinking about things. And when you
Yeah.
realize that the more you share, the more you gain, it
Yeah.
takes a while for people to get into that mindset, because they're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
do this, then I'm gonna miss out on me.
No. Yeah, not at all. And I think growing up, people say that, right? Like, oh, that's your competition. That like you hear competition so much, and then they think if the consumer buys from them, they won't buy from you, kind of thing. Maybe they'll buy from not this time, but maybe next time. I don't believe in that at all, really.
Yeah, that's a good point. So tell us about your beauty brand. This
Yeah, so right now I have a CBD infused like spa grade vegan skincare brand called Kana Skincare that I launched 2017 or 2018-ish. And then yeah, we've just been there since then.
what made you get into CBD? It's such a well, one, it's very male dominated industry, and two,
Yeah.
how did you even think about combining skincare with CBD? Like, what was the first attraction to that? And what did your parents say about it?
Oh my gosh, the parents. Okay, did I tell you about this?
You may have.
Yeah, okay, I don't remember, but I was actually a behavior therapist for kids with autism a while back in my 20s. And then I love kids. I'm like so passionate about mental health and, behavior training for kids. And it actually works for pets and men as well. And but that's for another podcast. um, so I actually witnessed one of my patients. She was only 2 years old, 2.2, I think, 2 years old and 2 months, and she had temper tantrums and she couldn't communicate. So we did a lot of sign language when and if she could and she was able to. And so all that frustration was taken out on like bang her head against the wall. And sometimes she would just be so angry that her face would turn red and her lips would turn purple. And it was just so sad to see. And the mom told me that she was giving her CBD oil or cannabis oil at the time, because it was only like what, 2013. Nobody knew the difference between THC and CBD, which is kind of like a mix. And I think she bought it from like some underground people too. And after that, I saw drastic changes. She was more mellow. And so, for one, she wasn't hurting herself anymore. And then she was able to learn more sign language from me. Like, if she wanted more food, like sometimes we didn't know, she would just grab it. And it's behavior wise, it's inappropriate, right, at a restaurant to grab other people's food. So she would tell me, she would look at me and say, like, more. And I was just like, oh my gosh, she's able to sign now. And so since then, I obviously couldn't record it in the charts or anything, and or tell my supervisors, because she's a single mom, and if anyone knew about it, the baby would be taken away, and so the toddler. And so I quit my job, and then I started researching for cannabis. And this whole thing was like, the mom really inspired me a lot. And so I went on to do cannabis events for women. Oh, I'm like just thinking about the girl and the mom, and you're a mother yourself. So anyway, so yeah, so I started cannabis events, and that's created a platform for women. And then CBD, I was always interested in, with skincare, obviously. And then it was born in 2017. It was always like simultaneously. At the same time, I was working on the cannabis platform. I was always working on the skincare, and always working on CBD related, like farming and all that stuff, with like Oregon farms and Kentucky farms, just learning.
Is it hard to find suppliers in the CBD space?
Now it's very easy. At the time, it was very difficult. Yes, and you wanted to find someone that was legit, someone that's not extracting it in their home, or somebody actually had a license. That was all very difficult.
Yeah. And what are some changes that you've seen by adding this to your products? Because I'm using some of your products too, and I can definitely feel a difference. And I'm not just saying that because you're my friend, but it's I've never actually considered using CBD products on my skin. I mean, I know, the oil, I know it's good.
Yeah.
They help, a lot of people, but I
Yes.
never would have thought of it being on a topical product that I can put on my face. So where did that idea come from? And what are some changes that you've seen in your skin or your clients' skin?
So that was, when I was doing this whole thing, at first I was thinking skincare, but I was like, oh, maybe it could be like edible beauty kind of thing. Because at the time, everyone was doing, well, people that were researching in this industry, the mostly male, they were doing gummies for pain and sleep management. Those are the two things that people know cannabis for, or CBD for, because you eat a gummy and then you feel it right away, or smoke, right? Or you feel it right away, and maybe like less than 20 minutes your pain is literally gone, and it's so mellow. Or you take a bath with like a CBD bath bomb, and you literally melt in the tub, and you don't feel any soreness at all after. And it was just so weird. And so at the time, my dad actually had a open heart surgery in Asia, and then the doctors were like, oh, bring something that's like, organic from America that can help your dad heal. And the first thing that came to my head was cannabis oil. And so I brought it, I smuggled it over in my makeup like bag, and then I took away all the, like the bottles, and I just took away all the stickers. So I brought it over, and then the nurse, I was like, oh yeah, just give it to my dad, like put in her porridge in the morning and stuff. And then the nurse smelled it and was like, this thing smells really bad. Like, they don't know what it is because it's illegal there.
Yeah.
And then there's no labels. And I was like, oh, and I freaked out. I was like in my 20s. I freaked out, and I was like, oh, I brought it from America. And all she heard was America, and
And
it's organic.
that was
I'm basically, okay, yeah, I'll give it to your dad. And so he was in his 70s at the time, and he healed within 5 days. He was able to walk within 5 days. And it was a 12-hour long bypass surgery. The doctors were like, oh, this is amazing. Like, we never hear stories like this. I've never seen this. And the nurse was also going in to check in on my dad a lot. And then he was like, can you tell the nurses not to come in all the time, because I don't know why they keep bothering me. And then they said it was because he never hit the morphine button once.
no.
For pain. Yeah, and then I think it was really the CBD. And then so I was breaking out at the time, taking care of him,
Did the
not
hospital
sleeping.
ever ask you what that was and if you can bring them some?
What was it?
I said, did the hospital and the nurses ever ask
Oh,
you in that, and if you can supply them as well with some of that?
no, but they probably thought it was my dad because my dad kept saying that he like knows martial arts and this is like his body healing himself, but it's a CBD, like um so so that was that. And then I used it on myself for my skin because I was breaking out. And it actually didn't work. It made it worse. And I was like, this is weird because it has anti-inflammatory properties, so it's supposed to work. And the only reason it didn't work, I think, because it didn't have a good formula. And so I went on and started researching for manufacturers who would collaborate with me on the CBD formula and stuff. And then, I mean, through all these different journeys, I found someone that I really, really trusted. And it works really well. And it's because it's anti-inflammatory for topicals. And CBD has really strong anti-aging properties too. People don't talk about it enough because I think they're so focused on pain and sleep management. But it actually does. It has antioxidant, vitamin A, B, C, and D, and so many great enzymes.
Well, I am glad that you are a big proponent of this beautiful, beautiful substance and oil and everything that you're using, because it's important that a lot more people bring awareness around the subject,
Yeah,
especially for us in California. It's legal, so
yeah,
just making
totally.
more aware of the fact that this can actually help you in more ways than one. So
Yeah,
kudos to you for taking a stance. And I know
thank you.
you're in a reality show, right?
Yes, so the reality show just came out. I think it came out. This is on, maybe they're on episode 3 now. I think total 12. It's on G4 Live. It's a cannabis platform. They do cannabis events, really large events. And now they created this social media plus almost like a Netflix short series on the phone app. So you can download it. It's G4 Live.
Awesome.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm kind of nervous to see it.
You're also a star. You're a movie star. That's amazing. What are some? I know you run a lot of businesses. What are some other things that you are working on presently?
So that, and then the one is not going to be cannabis related for once. It's going to be a vegan hair treatment. That's one. And then I'm always working on helping other women. And I just felt like I wish I had the support of this beautiful community when I started like 10 years ago in my 20s. Like it was literally men everywhere. I mean, they did help. They did help me carry my products to the trade show from the parking lot. But any more than that, like it would be a different conversation. um, and so I think now knowing what I know, and obviously I don't know everything, but from my experiences, I hope I can share some things that the other women are wondering, and I can also gain some insights and experiences from their background. So that's what I really like. I want to help other women build their brands. But I only have capacity, like I was talking about the other day, I only have capacity for 2 to 3 brands because I want to be really not deep into their business, but I want to know where their pain points are and if I'm able to help or if my network is able to help and direct them the right way because you can spend a lot of time, money, and energy and build something for years and not have it go anywhere and be like, oh, let me just do something else. Yes, you go away with all the experiences and what you learned in your network, that's very valuable. But at the same time, you're here to build a business. There is a sense of urgency and there is sense of urgency, and I think the efficiency really matters as well. So I think that's what I'm also really passionate
You
in doing.
so you want to consult them, essentially.
Yeah, I think so. And I feel like I do this already on my daily basis, but it's just more like more deep into the business and more like almost, yeah, maybe is that consulting? That would be, huh?
Yeah, more structured in a way, and
Yeah, more structured.
making sure that
Yeah.
people follow up on the action steps.
Yeah, and I really don't believe in the whole like programs that come out like, oh, how to build a business in whatever days, and then it comes out and everyone buys the same thing because everyone has different personalities and different products, and your industry may not be so structured, right? And I think like just what I do with my business in general is very tailored, it's very creative. So I think everyone in their business needs to be like that as well. Like it's not really like a program that you buy and you're like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna follow the bullet points. It's not like that at all.
I agree. I agree. And that's another thing that people follow a lot. It's like, they will take a course, and Amazon as well. They will take a course and then they take everything they heard to heart and say, well,
Yeah,
I follow all these steps, but yet I am not as successful as the person who
yeah,
taught it. Is
yeah,
because, all of these are just kind of indicators. They're just pointing the way, but it's
yeah,
up to you to really create your own unique path. I mean, yeah, there's some guidelines that you have to follow, such as, your listing has to be this way or your pictures have to
yes,
be this way. But then there's so much room for creativity and
yeah,
really putting your personal touch on everything that you do. And
yeah,
again, I think people are just so quick to, like, they just want to see the money that they forget in the meantime to really create this brand and really put in their soul, because that is what people see when they get
yeah,
your product. Like, if I get a product that's just wrapped in like bubble wrap, and compared to one that's on Etsy with a cute message and with a
yeah,
little bow, and I'm like, oh my god, this was for me. Like, sometimes
yeah.
it's so funny, Janice, I don't even want to throw away the box. Like, I don't want to, but you see how important it is, that personal touch. And that's something I haven't seen on Amazon in years. And I get it. It's a market where you sell a lot more than something like on Etsy. But if we can come up with creative ways where you can model something like the Etsy sellers do, where they may only sell maybe 50 units a month compared to somebody that's selling 5,000 on Amazon. I get it. It would be hard to do with that personal touch, but what is it that we can do that we can emulate that, but on a bigger scale? So I believe there's still room for creativity, even if you sell on
Yes,
Amazon.
definitely. I think creativity is so important. And a lot of people say, like, oh, I'm not creative, I'm not creative. But everyone is creative in their own ways. Like, you don't have to be a creative if, like just because you like paint or whatever. Some people, like, I don't even draw, I don't even paint, but I'm creative with concepts and with people in the industries and, seeing what they need. And like you said, like a personal touch of even a cute message, or if they're not, the capacity, they can't do that, like 5,000 units, like no one's there to write personal messages. Maybe it's already printed out, or maybe like a really like tailored box for them or something like that. Like that's why Apple is designed the way it is. And then every time you get something and then you slide out the box, and I think today it's still like that since they started. It's meant to be like a gift wrapping experience, so there's some psychology involved as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do the inserts on Amazon, and I
Yeah,
don't, I don't really think that's enough. And and I know why they don't do it, because obviously it costs a little more to do
yeah,
something a little bit more personalized, or it costs a few more cents, and they're thinking
hmm,
of the big picture. But in the long run, though, if that is your style, like, people will start recognizing that.
yeah,
If you just get the same products and the same wrappers, like, people are not going to remember your brand. It won't stand out alone.
yeah,
Just in, most people think, oh, it's just a $10 product or $20. Like, there's no need for me to worry if I get all these sellers back as long as I'm page one. And that's a question I get all the time, because you know a little bit about Rank Bell and what I do there.
hmm,
Just by getting all these like data shopper reports and getting people to page one, they're like, how do I stay? How do I stay here? And I emphasize a lot the
yeah,
importance of branding, because you want people to come back to Amazon in
yeah.
this space and type in your brand. Like, you want to get so known that people just remember your brand rather than
Even without looking at you on the page, yeah.
yeah. And that's not something I see a lot. And again, I know it's a little bit more costly, but I think now more than ever it's important that people really take a second and realize how
Yeah,
crucial it is to create your own brand, because they are, hundreds and thousands
yeah,
of same products, me too,
yeah.
products on Amazon. So how do you
That's true.
stand out?
And at the end, if you don't stand out, then your products can be replaced, right? Like they can just buy it from somebody else who has like maybe like lower price or more reviews, that kind of thing. But if they were able to put their personal touch on it and have the brand show a little bit more personality, then that's what people would like to interact with.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
when did you first realize you're an entrepreneur?
I think when I was very small, I think we talked about this. I when I fired my nanny and I wanted to go to my dad's office when I was
How
4.
old were you when you fired your nanny?
Wait, what?
How old were you when you fired your nanny?
I was 4 years old.
4 years old, little boss firing your nanny. Okay, continue.
So what happened was she wasn't reading to me. Like literally, I'm an only child, so it was literally just me and
Where,
her at home.
was this happening?
I was brought to Taiwan when I was 3. Yeah, so I was in Asia. And I was 4, and my dad was, so we had to move from Dallas to Asia because of my parents' businesses, and then they hired me a nanny, and I was at home with her all the time, and I would play and then have her read, and then she would just got lazy. She just stopped reading and just ignored me. And kids learn through play and learn through, reading and seeing colors and paint and all that stuff. And so I just told her one day, like, you don't have to come anymore. And she thought that my parents told me to tell her. And so she told my parents. And then my parents used to also run everything by me. So that they didn't say, oh, don't worry about it. Like, they didn't do that. So they came to me and they were like, did you tell, Auntie so and so not to come? And I was like, yeah, because she wasn't doing her job. She wasn't reading. And my mom wanted to teach me a lesson. So she told my dad, like, okay, let's take her to work because she's going to get so bored there, and then want the auntie back. And then I loved it. So I never had a nanny since. I mean, I saved their money. I saved them money, and I was like child labor, right? I was at the I
So
grew up
the
in the
money and
counter.
you made the money.
Yes, and I was at the counter. I did my homework there. And I also like saw a lot of different customers coming in and leaving. And I think as a child, I was so observant too. So I probably observed some things that they missed. Maybe they were so used to the customers, and I kind of picked up on what they liked.
What was your
They were in
parents'
the
business for those listening? What was your parents' business?
fashion distribution. So what they did was they went to Korea, and then they picked out the swatches, like the samples and stuff, and then they contacted manufacturers, and then they came back to Taiwan, and then they would distribute the samples, the products, and taking orders, that type of thing. And then we would get shipment every Monday. And then my mom would go to Korea. It's only 2 hours away. So my mom would fly to Korea every Tuesday, come back every Wednesday or Thursday. That was our schedule. I remembered everything.
And what are
Yeah.
some things that you feel like you've learned when you were so
From
little,
that.
kind of stayed with you? Yes.
Oh, so many things, so many things. I think one is people. I think that's number one. And just seeing how like grown men too, in their 50s, 60s, like frustrated when they couldn't get their business up and going. Like the business is always up and down. And I think key is to stay, how do you stay at an equilibrium in your EQ when you're down? It's not the economy, how it's not the outside influences most of the time. It's this person, how well they can stay calm and stable, because that's when you can think of what you do have. Like most of the time when I was small, grown men crying to my dad, or some of them were like not threatened, but they even thought about like committing suicide and just like whatever, because they couldn't pay a lot of things. They had so much debt and they had all this stress. And my dad would talk to them calmly. And that's a lot of what I learned really, is when you're in that situation, you get keep thinking about what you don't have. I don't have the money to pay this. I don't have money to pay that. I don't have the money to pay a designer. I can't do that. I cannot do. But then when what you cannot do is only this little, but what you can do and what you have is so much, right? So yeah, you don't have the money to pay for whatever, but do you have this negotiating skills? Can you obviously speak and write and do all that stuff? Can you communicate? And you have friends that can help you out. Not necessarily borrowing money, that's only a one-time thing. But what can you create and cultivate that can help you solve this problem long term? I think it's key.
What do you think makes you successful? Like, what are some key elements of Janice? Like, if you were
Like
to create the Janice cream, what are some ingredients that would go in
the ingredients.
it?
I don't think I am like successful. Like I know people say that, but I think success is defined by like many different things, right? Like I think I am definitely not there yet, but so far what I know is I think to really trust yourself, to believe in yourself, and see the good in you and what you're able to offer. A lot of people think about, who's gonna be able to help me? How can I get whatever? But you're also a value. You can also give and offer and provide. And don't think of it like a give and take thing. Like I give you this, Bella, you need to give me this back. But just give unconditionally, and when you need a help, people will come as well, with or without you asking. And I think that's how I survive this long.
So what you're saying is, which is something that I practice a lot, is the art of giving. And that's an art if you think of
Yeah,
it.
it
And
is.
what happens at the end of it, it's like the more you give and you offer help and support without expecting anything back, like it
Yeah.
comes back in unexpected ways.
Yes. Exponentially too.
Exactly. And again, just my observation, by being surrounded by thousands of people from different kind of industries, I realized that that's still kind of a major problem where, people want to get as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do that, it's like you forget that part of you that makes you human. That you may
Yes.
be actually an amazing human, but you're so busy into your mentality of lack that all you
Yeah,
do is like get, and then people feel that energy that, oh,
yeah,
this person is just trying to get as much as they can from me,
yes,
and it's like there's no value exchange. And it's not
yes.
that the other person is expecting anything, but it's just that
They
energetic
feel it.
exchange. Exactly, you feel it immediately. And I see that a lot in really any industry. I don't think it's industry prone per se,
Yeah,
but it's everywhere you go. But I do like to think that people are starting to wake up a little bit and understand this
yeah,
process of, I will offer as much value as I can. And, if it's gonna pay off, it's gonna pay off, but I'm not
yeah.
doing it expecting anything.
Yeah, it's true. And it's tough because a lot of this mentality comes from how they're raised as well, you know. Like if the parents tell you like, "Oh, don't share this with anybody because this is all you have for school or all you have for whatever." And growing up, if you keep hearing that kind of stuff all the time, then when it comes out in your business and in the way you work when you're an adult as well.
That is true. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of us don't even realize that we're doing some of the things we're doing.
Yeah.
It's like we have these ideas that we think are ours, like
Mhm.
being born in, I don't know, a Republican household or Democrat or whatever. You start having these ideas as yourself. And a lot of people don't stop to question that. Like, wait a minute, is this what I actually believe? Or is this something that I heard in my house?
Yeah.
Passed down through generations. And I think that's where the mistake is, that people don't take the time to really find out who they really are themselves. Like,
Yes.
that's, I think it's an amazing skill, and that's what makes us humans, the ability to actually think. And we don't think enough. I mean, it's not
It's
ridiculous,
the true.
true.
Yes, I've learned the meditation skills from you. It's a great time to like I don't know, you're not supposed to be thinking, but I do think that when you're meditating, these things do surface,
Yes.
and that's when you can work things out in your head.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think I got to the point where now I question, like, even the smallest things, like, why do I always use this color or this? And then, when you start asking yourself that in the beginning, it's going to be hard because you're going to get nothing.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, because I did. But then if you keep digging down, you're like, oh, I remember my mom saying this one time, or whatever it is. And you can take this example, literally apply it to everything in your life.
Yeah.
This is just an example, but we don't really know where this comes from. And I feel like those people that I meet that, obviously I bring on this show and I have connections in real life with, those who are successful, that I think are successful, have been able to really almost master these skills of,
Yeah.
the skill of actually introspection and looking within
And being
yourself.
so aware. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the first step to really doing anything, because we're in an information era, right? You can literally find out how to create any product from A to Z right now. If
Yes.
you were to take, the next week or so, you can
Yes.
probably find so much information that you'll be ready to start a business. If
Yeah.
also you have the cash to. But I think what's lacking now, because everybody's like, oh, learn this, like you said, oh, 10 steps to becoming this. And but then it's like, it's easier to actually learn about yourself and start from there, start from that purpose,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
everything else will come. Skills, you can
Yes.
do anything. And that's why I do this podcast, the Monday mindset. Like, we need more mindset. And that's why I love bringing women like you, because you
Thank you.
have that dialed in. And I'm sure it wasn't.
Yeah, it was definitely not easy, and it still isn't. I think every time you try to level up, right, in yourself or personally or business wise, it seems like you're starting over, and you are, because you're entering a new stage, so you're at the bottom of that. It's like going from like middle school, graduating, you're going to be in high school, but you're at the bottom, you become a freshman. So it's definitely not easy, and I think staying humble helps a lot, staying aware, and not try not to compare yourself and your business with other people who are already, at the next stage. Like a freshman's not gonna compare themselves to a senior, that type of thing. And so I think just staying humble, learning as much as you can, and being full, like try to reach your fullest potential rather than thinking, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. I want to be like that, so I'm gonna copy that. And then, like you said, it comes from you, and whatever you create is beautiful and unique, and other people will recognize that too.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
It's true. If you were to stand in front of like 100 women right now, like what
Yeah.
would you tell them that will inspire them to actually like start a business in 2022?
Of their own, I would say think of, obviously think of something that makes you most passionate about. And it doesn't have to be a product or a service, just what you're passionate about in general. And how do you feel when you're passionate about that thing that you're passionate about? And then something, and think of like the lifestyle that you would want, right? I mean, I'm assuming nobody is going to say like, I want to work 9 to 5. So the lifestyle that you want. And then so picture yourself at the dream self, and then the lifestyle, the everything, and then you right now, and how do you get there, and it kind of like work backwards. And that's what I do in a lot of things, is I picture that first, and then I think of, okay, what do I need, and then put that in there. And I think women are so powerful, like really, especially mothers, Ella. And so, like, I don't believe in locking us at this desk for 9 to 5. I just don't. And I think we're so creative, we're so capable, that it's in every single one of us. You know, we don't, and don't look at Amazon or don't look at other people's products and brands. Be like, okay, I want to be like her. I want to be like that brand, and go create something similar, because you are way more creative than that. So whatever you think of that's not there, create your own space for yourself. Like that's what I did with the cannabis world, because there was no room for the women, or when I created these accessories for cannabis for women, I literally put it in my luggage. I don't know if I told you this, but I put it in my luggage and I didn't have an assistant. It was raining in San Francisco. I went on this cannabis street called Hate Street. It had like a street of smoke shops. I was like, if anybody's gonna buy, it's gonna be here. And I opened my little suitcase. I was like 24. I opened my little suitcase and I was like, oh, these are what I created. Oh my God, the smoke shop owners loved it. And they were like, oh, it's a beautiful glass, blah, blah, this stuff. But my brand the name was Dink Gals with a gal in it. And he said, but you know what? Nobody's going to buy anything with a gal on it because it's
Wow.
girly. And my customers are men. So
Wow.
then I was like, what do you mean? Like, because at the time the branding was like, there's a huge pipe. And then it was just like not very female friendly. What if people need to medicate, like they have anxiety, they have depression and all that stuff, and we're females, right? You can put it in your little purses and stuff. So they don't have any of that. So I said, maybe if you start carrying women related products, then you would have some female clients. But this is a difference between the mindset of an entrepreneur and a business owner. Is business owners are operational. They do what's already proven, and they
What the
do
market
what's
is asking
guaranteed
for.
money.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever the market's for, then they go for that. Well, entrepreneurs, you create something for the community, right? And so I said, what if you carry more female related products and you'll have women coming in here to buy? He's like, no, I don't think so. I like rarely see women here. They're like in the fashion district or whatever. So it wasn't just one person that told me that. It was like maybe 6 smoke shops, and it was raining. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm done here. And then I went back and then I created my first website on Shopify, because Amazon banned me, obviously, at the time,
Yeah.
and it was smoking related. So I created Shopify, and then I started advertising on like Facebook, and then eventually got banned. But we got enough community of women to understand where this website was coming from, and then I created in-person events. I created like cannabis yoga and all that stuff. So that's where the in-person event skills came from, is the community building. And everyone loved it. And so I became one of the actually the distributors for the smoke shops that didn't want my products. And I became the distributor of their distributors after that.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You see the power of just, not giving up. And you
Yes.
could have gone back and, be disappointed that, 6 men told you no to a female bong, right? This is crazy
Literally.
to even hear that. But you see, I love your determination. And honestly, I don't know how many people would actually do that. Go and knock on every door in rain,
Yeah, you have
get
to.
their products to the door. Because people are
Right.
so used to, Janice, right now, like get on Amazon, and then if they don't start having a sale in like 3 days, they freak out and
Yeah.
they will say, "Oh, this program didn't work, that service
Yeah.
didn't work." But it's like, what did you do to put in any time? Like just a few
Yeah.
years ago, you would have to rent your own physical location, put
Yeah.
ads, get on TV, get on radio, which
Yes.
would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars before you spend even one penny. And now,
Yeah.
the age of Amazon, you spend, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000, 20, let's say 50 to start your
Yeah.
business, really a fraction of what it used to cost. And then they get frustrated when they have nothing. But also they don't want to do any work.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's not just with the Amazon, it's this world in general with the social media and information, like you said, they're coming and going so fast. So people are used to the instant gratification. Like, I don't see any result, it's not working. And it's not that it's not working. You still need to put the cake in the oven and you still need to wait for it to bake, right? You can't be like, oh, it's been like 5 minutes. How come the cake's not ready? Like, no. So you
Exactly.
have to be like what you talked about back then is so different from being from doing business now. And I think I learned a lot from my parents and just doing business in the 90s, and I was watching it and everything. And so that mentality of like the slowness and just patience, but at the same time not slow and patient to the point that you don't have a sense of urgency to make it work. Like, you still have to have the modern efficiency and then combine the two. Yeah.
Right. So don't just wish it into existence.
Yes.
There's a lot
Yes.
of people, I'm obsessed with manifestation and creating your dream life. And, I tell people and they're like, well, you also have to do the work. I'm like, I know, I've been doing
Yeah.
exactly what that is, but also it's important to be focused on what you want. And, I did a little exercise this weekend while I was at the VCon. I'm still here in Minneapolis, by the way, but I did this exercise with some people that I met that I felt called to. It was like, what is your number? And they're like, what's my number? What do you mean?
Oh, wow.
What is your number? What do you want to have as a financial number in this lifetime? One, they're shocked because nobody has ever asked them how much money they
Yeah.
want. How dare
Yeah.
anybody that's not close to them even ask that? And I did it because there's need to be more conversation around money. I'm okay. Me and money are cool. And I want other people to be cool with money, right? So I was like,
Yeah.
what's your number? And I know you're not going to be surprised, but most people, they don't have a number. They're like, oh, I know
Mm.
it's a lot. I'm like, what's a lot? Like what is,
Or they're just happy with
yeah.
whatever.
And I think it's very important to put in mind exactly what you want. And it doesn't have to be a number you're, scared of or embarrassed of.
Yeah.
Like, I want to tell people I want 1 million a year because, that make me look like I'm greedy and all this. And I want to start more conversation around like, yeah, make your focus, whatever that is. And, it doesn't mean that you're going to achieve it or anything, but
Yeah.
at least now you have some direction. It's like getting
Yes.
into an Uber, but not putting a direction.
There's no destination.
Take me anywhere, but take me somewhere super cool. Like, like you have
So
to,
true.
you have to be a little bit more specific what a lot means.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you said in the beginning, success is defined different ways by different people. So what's a lot to you may be maybe too much or too little for
Yes.
you. We don't know that.
Exactly.
Once we start having the conversation around it's okay to make goals and go towards that. Because if you
Yeah.
don't, you're just like, oh, I don't know what I want.
This reminded me, so I went on these dates, right? And at least 2 men have asked me, why do you want to be in business? Why do you want to make a lot of money? Is it the lifestyle? And then I was just like, I did not even think about it like that. Like, I think money makes you, so then people say like, oh, like women who want a lot of money, like they turn, greedy or whatever, like you said, like, oh, people are afraid that they're gonna say that they're greedy. But I think money only brings out who you truly are. So if you were already a greedy person to begin with, you are greedy regardless of money or not. But if you're someone who's compassionate, who wants to do more good for the world, then money is going to turn you into that kind of person. You might start like 10, 12 charities. Like my mentor has like 18 charities and nonprofit organizations. So it's like, it really depends on the person. And so obviously I don't date them anymore, but I'm just saying, like, that's what people think about. Oh, she's greedy, she wants a lifestyle that's whatever. But no, I don't think so at all.
But men are seen as ambitious when they do that. But
Yeah,
all
yeah.
these conversations that I had were actually with men. So I don't know if their answer was a little filtered because it was me asking them, like, who's this do I want? I'm like, well, think of it this way. You just caught the goldfish right now, and I'm here to grant your wish. What are you wishing for? And I think somebody said like 1 million, like for their whole lifetime. And I was like, why? Why only 1 million? Like, wait, I can ask for more. I mean, you literally just made a wish. Why not wish
Yeah,
the biggest number that you can think of? And
yeah.
my thing is, if it doesn't scare you, that's not the number.
Mm,
If it doesn't scare you, that's
yes.
not the number. And think
But
about it.
yeah.
It's like, when people ask you, you're like, okay, what's like the one number that makes sense? Okay, I'm working as a lawyer, I'm making 300 grand a year. So this way, if I make this much,
Yeah, don't think about that. That's so technical and no.
exactly, because they're trying to rationalize it, like,
Yes.
what is that number? And then they'll be like, okay, 10 million. And I'm like, how did you get to that answer? Like, show your work.
Calculate it.
Right. And then, and that's the answer that they usually give, which is one that they feel like they can attain, because they're afraid that if they do a bigger number, then somehow they'll be held to it by them, maybe.
Yeah.
It's like people
Or
don't.
if they can't achieve it, then they feel like a failure. And that's another mindset, I think, is you cannot feel that way. Like, you need to take that emotion out of it. The
Exactly.
failure, afraid to fail, like, that cannot be in there.
And I mean, how many times did you fail?
Every day. If I have one win a day, I'm happy. Like, I make decisions all the time, obviously, some good, some bad, but I don't dwell on the bad. Um, I just kind of think about it and I see it as, okay, slap on the wrist, never again. And how do I get myself out of that hole and then move my team forward? The longer you dwell on the sadness and then the anger, the whatever, it just, even in my personal life, I can never stay sad for a long time either. Like, it's not efficient.
That's a winning mindset too, because most people don't
Yeah.
even get to the point where they get to make a mistake. And I take my mistakes right now, and the way I think it's a little different than most people, but I take every failure as a gift. I'm like, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you,
Yes.
thank you, because now I'm able to not make this mistake at the
Yeah.
point where I
Yes.
am in the billions, right? I might
Yes.
do it now when I'm,
Mhm.
I lose a few thousand, or I've lost more than that,
Yeah.
that I want to admit on the show, but still, thank you. Like, you can turn anything, because there's nothing I can do to get that back. Like,
Yeah.
literally nothing. Like, there's nothing that I can do to fix that mistake, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, I must have done it because maybe it's protecting me from something that could have happened in the future. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful. So you can literally take any single issue and instance and turn it into a positive one if you
Yeah.
choose to. Because
Yeah.
once the deed is done, there's no way of going back. You have two options. Are you going
Yeah.
to dwell in it and tell yourself how dumb you are and how could you even done this mistake, and you have seen it coming? I mean, all this shit we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, you're like, okay, thank you. That was stupid. I appreciate the value from it, and let's move on. And then
Yes.
this is how we learn. And that's why people don't want to fail, because they don't want either themselves to feel
To feel bad.
or other people. But then this
Yeah.
is where we grow.
Yes.
Like, trust me, I didn't get to this point by not going through all this. Like, I
Yeah.
had to go through it for me to even be able to talk about it. So as long as you turn everything into, what can I gain from this, and what can
Mhm.
I feel like that's a winning mindset right there.
Yes, not totally. A lot of people tie the projects and like the wins and losses to their self-worth and self-value, and it is two different completely different things. I talked to this man before, and he said, "Oh, I don't want to do that because I forgot what it was, but it was just like a game, a board game that everyone was playing." He was like, "Oh, I don't want to do that because I only play to win. Like if I'm not gonna win, I don't do it." And I was like, "So you're never learning then?" Because and he was
Good.
like, "Oh, I understand that. You know, when you lose, you learn." But I think they tie their self worth to all the things that they do so much when it should be two separate things.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it. You're a boss. Well, thank you, Janice. How do people reach you if they would like to? How do they follow
Yeah.
you? You have the
So
amazing, by the way, Instagram stories. I love I feel like I'm with you every day. I'm like, oh my God, where is she now? Like she's at a wedding, and then you're like, oh, and I'm at 4 a.m. working on my
did you
business. And
see?
I
Yeah, did you see the grandpa dancing at the wedding? So adorable. I love capturing like sincere and genuine moments like that.
yeah. So how do people find you on Instagram?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Janice underline Kana Skincare. So Kana Skincare is Kana Skincare.
Yes, awesome. And
Yay.
what about for those who might be interested in doing some consultations with you? Just reach
Yeah,
out to them, or what's the best
reach
way?
out through Instagram, whatever's easy. Reach out through Instagram, or you can email me at janice@kanaskincare.com, Kana skincare.com. That's straight to my inbox.
Thank you for being on Seller Sessions today, Janice. I
Thank you
love
so
you,
much, Bella.
and I cannot wait to see you soon.
Yes, when can I see you? Maybe in San Diego when I'm there next week. I'll let you know.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Take
Have
care.
a great day. Bye.
Yeah.